Hi Deja, my name is Jessica and I'm a caseworker here at the Substance Abuse Clinic. Um, I just want to talk to you a little bit about what brings you here and, give me a little bit of your story.
Well, I was recently fired from my job for stealing painkillers, and ever since then, it's been like a spiral downhill, like for my marriage, my family, my social life, everything has just become a wreck, and I really don't know how to cope with it besides doing painkillers, and I know that I need help.
Okay, well, I'm so sorry to hear that. When did you realize that you were really having a problem, just taking too many and it just escalated from there or?
Well, I recently had back surgery 8 months ago, and they prescribed me painkillers, for
Mm-hmm.
my back pain and all. And it just got to a point where like I couldn't really work, so that started adding financial trouble and it just stress in my household. And I kind of just resorted to the painkillers as like a way out, away from the stress. And then when they stopped prescribing them, that's whenever things got rough. Like I took matters into my own hands instead of.
Okay. Now you mentioned your marriage. Are you guys getting a divorce, separated? How has it really affected your marriage?
We haven't really talked about divorce, but things haven't been well. We argue a lot.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, the money situation. We have 4 kids, and it's been kind of hard to provide for them for those four. And like we live pretty nice, so like paying for the bills and things like that have been a struggle these past couple of months. Just things like that a couple should be able to handle, and it's we're not handling them well.
Right. Well, that's completely understandable in a situation like this. So what I'm hearing you say is, you're having issues with painkillers and things like that, which it's a very great thing that you realize the problem yourself, because many people have a problem admitting it and, go into denial, and it's an even longer stage from there. Um, so have you had put any thought into what kind of treatment you want, what kind of treatment you're looking for, long term, short term, or anything like that?
Well, I was planning on maybe like possibly doing outpatient because I'm not sure if I really want to be in like a rehabilitation center or
Okay.
some sort. So that was kind of like my idea.
Okay. Um, Now I do have to ask you: would you ever consider doing inpatient? Because um, for some people, it's harder to get into inpatient because obviously you don't want to leave your family and things like that. But there's more of a success rate with inpatient because you are a little bit more secluded than being an outpatient where you have outside sources, peer pressure, things like that. You're obviously can have access to drugs and things like that easier than being an inpatient. um, I know you have a family and everything like that and kids, but would you ever consider doing an inpatient uh,
Um,
program or at least trying it?
I'd have to talk to my husband and my kids because I don't want them to think like, oh, mommy's in a drug
Right.
house or anything like that. It's something I'd really have to talk through and consider with my family.
Okay, well, I'll definitely check into both, even just to see if there's something that you like about the inpatient program that isn't involved with the outpatient program, and we can definitely check into both and see cost and availability with both of those. Um, let's talk a little bit about obviously your substance abuse. When did you realize it was a problem? And, when did you really start using and abusing your painkillers?
I really started using them like for the bad part whenever they stopped prescribing them,
Mm-hmm.
and I like me and my husband had been arguing like before that, and
Mm-hmm.
so like I kind of just took them to like get away from the problems that I was having, and when they stopped prescribing them, that's whenever like I realized that it was like a really big issue, because I needed that, like it's like I needed them to cope, and then it got to a point where whenever I got fired from my job, and my husband was like, this is really a problem, and I realized like I shouldn't be getting fired. The drug shouldn't be that important in my life for me to lose my job, possibly lose my family. Like, I shouldn't have let them take over.
Right. All right. So, I want to ask you: do you feel depressed only when you argue with your husband? Is it when you're by yourself all the time? When are you really feeling like, man, I need to use right now?
I'm really feeling depressed mainly all the time.
Okay.
because I know like I have to live with the fact that we're financially back. Um, my kids and my family, my husband, like our marriage is at risk because of the choices that I've made. It
Okay.
also is when I'm alone because, like I said, I sit back and I think about things like that. It doesn't help either because I grew up from a family who was used drug abuse,
Mm-hmm.
and just knowing that it's kind of like I followed in those footsteps, and the last thing I wanted was to put my family through what I went through. Just things like that just really add on to the sadness and the stress and the anger that I have. And
Okay.
it's like the only way I know how to cope is to use the painkillers. And it's like an ongoing thing because I'm upset because I'm using the painkillers, but the painkillers are the only way I know how to deal with my upset and my sadness and stuff.
Okay. You mentioned too that your social life has, kind of dwindled off a little bit. Did any of your friends know, or did they have a part in pushing you towards it, or anything like that along those lines?
Not really. They didn't really like push me into it or like have a part in it, but they did find out, when I got fired and when
Mm-hmm.
like, everything hit the ceiling fan, just things like that. And like I really struggle with, my kids going to school and other kids talking about their mom being like a druggie.
Right.
It's we live in a small neighborhood, so everything that happens to us, everybody knows. And it's just embarrassing.
Right. Would you consider your kids to be a trigger, or is that kind of the part of your day that's really happy? Do you ever feel stressful? Having four kids can be a lot, obviously financially,
Mhm.
especially. But other than that, do you ever feel they're a burden, or too much for you to handle? Do they ever get to the point where you feel like I can't even be around them, I need to go use, or stressed out like that?
Not really. They actually motivate me more
Mm-hmm.
than like as a
Okay.
trigger to use because when I see them, I see myself being a better mom, not using. Like they motivate me to do better. Although
Right.
like it does sadden me, like I said earlier, knowing that I'm not causing their life to be any better by my choices,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm trying to use that as motivation instead of like as a negativity to my life.
That's something that's really great, and I definitely encourage you to hold on to that. And I mean, I can completely understand that. That's why you want to do an outpatient program, to be with your kids and even show them and your husband, that you're still making steps to, make things right and really make your family better. Um, have you thought any about getting a job, or, you know, um, getting back into nursing or anything like that?
Not really, although like things have been hard, like I said, but
Hmm.
I kind of wanted to do like my rehab first to get my life in order, my priorities straight, get back on the right track before I do anything, especially like back into nursing, because like temptation, just being around the painkillers. Like I want to make
Right,
sure I'm like in the right path, right mindset before I do anything
right.
like that.
All right, well, it seems like, you're headed towards the right track. It's a big step for you to come in here and do this yourself. You've got plenty of things to work for. Obviously, you're very smart if you're in nursing. You've got a wonderful husband and four kids. You've got plenty of motivation. I really think that, you can move mountains with this whole program. I'm going to take everything that we talked about today, discuss it with my boss, and see in both programs, our inpatient and outpatient, what we can have available to you. And, you know, I would really encourage you to sit down and talk to your husband about both programs. I really appreciate you coming in today, and
Thank you.
I look forward to hearing from you.